Okay, I'm going to work on that theory. Hello, everybody. It says you're live. Dun, 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 dun. How are you all? Hope you're doing marvelously well. Starts in 4 hours? No, not starts in 4 hours. It is, it's starting now. We're here. We're big. We're bad. And we're back. So, as you can see, I'm up in the corner up here. Hello, everybody. Hello. I think, Andrew, you can show me, how do I get back between those two views? How do I get webcam only? Yeah. Hey, look at that. I'm not completely illiterate. Hello, how everybody? Greetings in Brazil, greetings in the Netherlands, Cologne, Dallas, Sweden, more Netherlands, Norway. Hello, Fort Collins, Colorado. What's up with you as well? Hope you're all doing... Oh, and Pedro and... Oh, getting fancy. Yes, I think we'll try and get fancy here. You got an alert. Yay, I shrunk. Nobody puts Warren in the corner. Well, you know, Warren's going to go in the corner. So look, what are we going to do? We have... what we have at the moment is... I'm hearing myself in the headphones, and I don't need to hear myself that loud, so I'm taking them off. What we have is my mixing in the box course that I did with Bob Horn. The song is by Little Empire. What's good about it is it's a combination. Hello, Anne in the UK. Hello, everybody in Atlanta, Mexico, Birmingham, Greece, Denmark, Florida, Havana, Redlands, Kenya, Spain, everywhere. Devon, Portugal, beautiful. Argentina. We don't have Ace today. We did actually just work on one of his songs though. We did a cleanup edit of Bronx Boy, and we sent it to the label, and it's going to come out as a single in England. So if you are in the UK, you will be hearing Bronx Boy on the radio. So check that out. That's the Ace Frehley song. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, you can probably find that on Spotify already and listen to it. It's just got the BS word in it all over the place, so we had to take that out. Yeah, so basically what this is it's a Little Empire song. The song is called Shoot You Down. I mixed it in a box, and so did Bob. And that's Bob Horn. So what we decided to do was talk about it a bit. So you can get the course anyway, and you're going to be able to win the course during this Q&A. So I'm going to ask some questions and, during it and see what, find out some information from you, because we're all about community, and we'll be giving away this course as well. So Matt should have put a link to it if you're interested in doing it and getting it. Otherwise, here we go. Okay. Where's the OBS? This again? Yep. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Q&A plus screen. There you go. That's interesting. What's going on there?
It's because it's looking at the whole screen, so you want to move the Pro Tools back to this.
I didn't touch that though, so... Sorry about this, everyone. Okay. Alrighty then. So I'm going to try and keep all these questions up, do everything all at once. Okay, I'm on Pro Tools here. Can you see me? All right. Yay! So, I'm glad you got the free course. That's wonderful. Okay. Of course, we love giving away things for free. For three? That's $3. No, free. All right, so let's go through this song. Now, the thing about this song, if you've already seen the course, then you can know a lot about what I'm talking about here. But the thing about this song is it is a combination of live elements and also some samples, much to the chagrin of our good friend Glenn Fricker and many others that don't like using samples. This is my 1964. Well, actually, technically, it's not my 1964. It's my wife's 1964 Ludwig sitting in the other room. So we have a kick in. Here is the kick in with no EQ and no compression on it. This is just the kick. Okay, so I'm going to move my mic up here so I can turn it on and off when we're listening. So you don't get any background noise. So I'm turning off my mic. I'm going to let you listen to that kick again. This is the kick. This is just a kick on its own. Go to the chorus. Now, what's miraculous about this kick drum, believe it or not, is it's just the mic on a kick on the outside with no hole. So all of the separation you hear there, miraculously, is just stuck on the front of the kick drum. So all of the kit is behind it. It's not inside of the drum. It's not baffled off. It's just a mic on its own. Now, I believe, from a memory serves me right, that this is the Rex 640. This is the Lewitt Rex 640, which is a relatively inexpensive kick mic. Hit once more time. Yes, as David said, boom, boom, boom. Okay, so what did I do to it? Well, look at this. Pretty crazy EQ. Pretty nutso EQ. Can you see this okay? It's basically a boost of 5.8. Now, it's nearly 6 dB at 60 hertz. Then there is a massive cut at 143 and another cut at about 700. So you see this enormous amount of, can you see that? Low mids and mid-range just removed. So let's do it in real time and you'll hear the EQ change. So have a That was pretty massive. That was pretty massive. Hear it again. It goes from this roomy kick drum, and this is just an EQ. This is no compression. This is not a gate. This is not, you name it. This is nothing fancy. This is just me using a Waves Renaissance EQ. Watch it again. Have a listen. Pretty huge. So why am I talking about this? Well, because there's a lot of baloney being talked about, like don't EQ much, don't boost, don't cut too much, it changes the phase. The point is like don't look at your EQ and judge that. Don't look at your sounds, listen. The difference is massive. I recently did a panel in Nashville, and Reed Shippen was going on about this. People were asking him questions about all kinds of stuff and saying, well, they'd watched this video talking about how the phase looked different. And Reed just was like, so what? How does it sound? And I think this is something we have to remember. Okay, so what else am I doing on that kick? So don't look at your music, listen to it. Okay, so I'm actually doing nothing with this trim tool. It was on there in case I wanted to cut or boost the volume, so it doesn't matter whether it's on or off. So that's basically the kick. What other things do we do? Well, the great thing about this kick is it's got a lot of boom. Have a listen. Great, sounds like a boomy kick, but it's not giving me attack. So I am using a sample. I'm using a sample from Addictive. And the only thing I'm doing here, you see on the Addictive one, is I'm mainly controlling the low end, so I'm actually high passing at 39. Yes, he's high passing. What? But they tell you don't high pass. No, high pass, control the low end. I don't need two things giving me a lot of low end. If we look at our live kick, here's the EQ, lots of 60 boost. If I go to my kick sample I've added in, I am controlling the low end. I don't need masking, phase issues, all of this stuff going wrong. I don't need it going wrong with having multiple things masking each other. Because if you get lots of low end signals, all slightly in different positions, you get frequency masking, but you also get terrible mud and phase issues. So I'm letting the boom, the real low end, come from two different sources. You're going to see the second one in a minute. So here is the kick sample. And why have I pulled out 100? Well, 100 in a kick drum, for me personally, starts to build up a lot, especially when you're using multiple sources of kick drums. It is an area that can get really, really sticky. So especially on a kick drum where maybe you've got one inside, one on the front head, and then one pulled back, you know, a couple of feet or maybe twice the distance away from the kick, which many of us do. We triple mic and then even add like an NS10 kick. I've seen people send me mixes that sound amazing. Don't get me wrong, I'm not judgmental at all. That sound amazing. Great professional engineers that have 4 different inputs on a kick drum, and you put them together and they are phenomenal. So, and then other guys just use 1, sometimes use 2. The point is there is no rules, it's like what works. Some of the best engineers in the world use 3 or 4 inputs. Thank you, Sunnybird. I will be marvelously well. You're just buying us lunch, I appreciate it. Okay, so I often will pull out 100 because it gets a bit of a build up. So I pulled out the 100 and I've high passed up to about 40. So the next is a trim, which again isn't being used, so it doesn't have to be on. And I've got a bit of a gate. So let's listen to before and after. Here's before. So what that is like a more modern kind of boom, 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 dancey kind of kick against it. The gate, if you watch this, God bless Pro Tools. We have a lot of stuff running simultaneously. We have YouTube, we have OBS, we have Pro Tools. So unfortunately, every now and then we might get a CPU error. So what's the gate doing? The gate is shortening the kick drum so it's all just the attack I want to hear. Again, with it on. I mean, it's pretty darn obvious when I'm turning it on and off. Yes, you will hear how it sits in the mix when we get to that point. We're doing this in context. Okay, so basically you can see, because what we're doing is we're doing the build-up of all of the elements. So as you can see there, hey Michael. So as you can see, I'm using this specifically to add some click to it. And this is something you will see not talked about on a lot of the YouTube channels, but definitely talked about by guys like Bob Marlett and Ulrich Wild, a lot of the guys, Cameron Webb, the guys that we do a lot of courses with, guys that are mixing Motorhead and Black Sabbath and Airborne and tons of modern rock bands as well. Shinedown and, you know, you name it, Pantera, all of this stuff. They're not afraid to take multiple pieces of a kick drum and EQ and compress it in different ways. So yeah, so those two together now. Let's go in with our live kick and our gated sample. You'll see when I'm soloing it in and soloing it out. I'll give you this is it in, this is it out, in, out, but it's such an easy thing to hear, I don't think you'll have a problem. I mean, I doubt if there's anybody here that didn't hear how different that is. Yeah, it's a huge difference. But it's in the same family. It didn't suddenly sound like there was these two elements put together that sounded like totally different kick drums. It's just a quick and easy way. Like I said with Bob Marlett, if any of you have ever watched some of his stuff, some of the things we've done with him, he will take 3 different sources on a kick drum and EQ them so massively different to create one massive kick drum. Okay, so what else have we got going on? Well, the next thing we have going on is the synth kick. This, if I zoom out, you'll see only comes in on the first chorus. So let's see what its impact does so you have an idea. So this is just the kick drums. So here you're going to see the first verse, and you're going to hear like a good sounding, you know, a good sounding drums. Yeah, here we go. It was so metal, we got a CPU crash. It just couldn't handle it. But anyway, look, you could tell. Look how massive that is. I mean, I know that all of you, if you're even if you're listening on your probably not on an iPhone speaker, but any kind, even earbuds, you could hear how huge a difference that was. So now I can do some of that using my live kit, because a lot of it, let's not be naive, a lot of it is volume. See, a lot of this perceived low end is low end. In just volume of the low end is what I should say. So just be aware of that. You know, if you didn't have this sample, you might be able to do something similar by literally turning up this kick here. But there's something very consistent about this dance sample. Have a listen to it. There you go. Gauthier says he's listening on his laptop, and even he can hear it on his laptop. So why do we add that? Well, if you listen to the song, you'll see why. This is like a combination of live, and I think this is the perfect song for us to do this with, because it's live elements and programmed elements together. So you can use some of these techniques in live drums, and you can use these techniques, obviously, you can obviously use this technique with rock and roll bands as well. So let's check out the song. Look, you could see what it was doing. You see the impact of when that came in. You know, the groove changed, obviously. The 4 on the floor entered here quite early on. So if I go into group and get all the drums, you can hear them. Cool. So huge difference there. But it's not just the fact that what it is it's specifically done for the groove change. And like I said, you can do a lot of this by mixing. Now, but let's be honest, sometimes it's easier just to do what does the job. And if it's as simple as putting a synth kick in there, which if you solo this, have a listen here. I mean, it's pretty monstrous, you know, pretty darn monstrous. Could I pan the compressor? I don't know what that means. Sorry. I look up and I'm seeing random things. Yeah, I'm not sure why this is in mono. Dum-de-dum-dum-dum. The guys had been checking out this setup before we got going, so okay. So Clay Hat says, this is great. Thanks, need more of these. Can you elaborate on the tracks names and organization here? What do you print refer to? There, for example, I see the Shake Away tracks too. Okay, so the reason why it says print addictive kick and print addictive snare is really, really simple. It is, I can run an addictive plugin if I like, and I can trigger those sounds. But then I'm at the mercy of two things: whether the triggering would work really, really well. Obviously, that's number one. And then secondly, just as importantly, it's the amount of CPU it takes. It takes a huge amount of CPU. As you can tell, we're running OBS, we're running Chrome, you know, for YouTube's running at the same time, streaming live, and we're running Pro Tools all on a partition drive on Pro Tools 12 and with all our plugins. So our CPU's like not liking us too much. It's running okay, but, you know, add in a running live addictive, I print it. Now, why do I call it print? You're probably like, what does that mean? Well, that's going back to ye olden days when we talked about those things over there. See that big thing over there in the corner? That is a tape machine. And so that tape machine had tape on it. And when you were recording to it or mixing to it, you called it printing. So you printed. So I still use that terminology. It may not end up being the terminology that up-and-coming people will use. But when we take like addictive drums and we make them, yeah, some people say freeze. Yeah. How much RAM do I have, Warren? Not sure on the top of my head. Probably the maximum I can on this. But anyway, let's talk about the mixing. So the thing about it is, and honestly, we would have no issues if we were just mixing in the box if we weren't running 3 or 4 different things at the same time. But anyway, so that's why we call it printing. Now, however, you might find many people don't call it that anymore. All right, so let's keep on this path. Now then, these are all the drums together. Thanks ever so much, Travis. I really appreciate it. Okay, so now let's keep going on the live elements here. Here's the snare top. There's not a huge amount going on this snare top here. Look at this. Now, I ended up, I'll be honest, favoring the sample. I felt like the drummer here, I'm just going to move this. I felt like the drummer here was playing a little wimpy. He wasn't really digging in maybe as hard as I wanted him to, which is okay, but it's still a pretty darn good performance. What I've done on this snare top here, as you can see, is I've wiped off high pass. Yes, I high passed. What? Say it ain't so. Anyway, so yeah, I high passed at 64. And remember, high passing done properly is your friend. Please don't get confused by people that are telling you not to high pass. Every professional high passes. Okay, so everybody that wants a really good loud sounding mix will high pass. So anyway, so high pass at 64, and then at 469 here, which is kind of this ugly low mid, I took that out. And I've got a little bit of a lift about 3K and another lift at about 6. So basically just some high end boost, some high mids and high ends, some low mid cut, and then high passing so it gets out of the way of the other drums. The snare bottom has nothing done to it, and it's going through a snare bus here with nothing on it. So just listen to the live snare. Okay, that's really boring sounding, isn't it? I mean, literally, listening to that snare is like this. I'll be honest, it's really boring. It is an amazing snare. It is my Ludwig Supraphonic, but the drummer was playing so timidly. And I did mess around with it for a little bit. You can tell I had a transient designer on it. I had a different transient on it. I've EQ'd it. I tried gating it, boosting it, compressing it, you know what. And all that happened is that he was playing so timidly that I couldn't get the kind of crack out of it. So sometimes you have to do what you have to do, which in this instance is, yes, you guessed it. Sorry, Glenn, we added a snare sample. Why do I use Renaissance EQ? It's quick and easy to use. I have used it since its inception. I think I've been a Waves Platinum Bundle buyer when that was like the beginning of it. I don't know, mid late 90s when it first came out. And if you watch most guys and girls that we know that mix, that we still use them because they're quick and easy to use. There are other ones where you can visualize stuff. However, it's difficult when you're visualizing because you start to rely heavily on what you can see and you stop listening to what you hear. So I have no problem if you want to get an EQ with a graphic on it that shows you where things maybe are too loud, but you have to remember that sometimes just because something is louder doesn't mean it's wrong. And if you're only looking at it from that perspective, then you're going to end up flattening out your mix and making it sound really, really boring. Some things need to be aggressive. Some things need to be a little a little loud, a little screaming, a little bright, a little dark, you know. Yeah, I saw that Waves Platinum was $199 yesterday. Why didn't he hit the snare harder? He hit the snare as hard as he could playing the groove. One of the things, and this is maybe not talked about, but from a producer's perspective, having worked with thousands of, or at least several hundred different drummers, 4 on the floor is a really, really difficult groove to play. Now, you can all tell me I'm wrong. I'm just telling you I'm not. I do use lo-fi on snare quite often. What I mean is, like, that's one of the most difficult grooves to play because you have to get your snare and your kick relationship together. If the snare is too far in front or too far behind, you get that horrible flammy kick snare sound. So some drummers, in fact most drummers, when they play 4 on the floor, aren't playing as aggressively as they would playing other beats. Because, quite frankly, they are concentrating on making sure that they're not flamming badly. So that's why he didn't play as aggressively. Okay, great. So let's add the 2 snares together. And as you can see, I have done nothing to this addictive snare except add some reverb. And there's barely any. So here's the 2 snares together. So the 2 live snares with the sample. So let's be honest, it is a huge part of the snare sound. I would be lying. However, but that's only when you hear it, that's only when you hear it soloed like that. The reality is there's a lot more to the snare sound because, of course, we have, yes, you go down here and see overheads. Now I'm going to the overheads next, believe it or not, because it's a huge part of our drum sound. And those of you that watch me will know that I talk all the time when it comes to recording about getting my overheads in phase with my snare. It's a big deal to me. And so why do I care about the overheads being in phase? Well, I care about it because I want a good, accurate sound of the drum kit. So let's listen again to just the overheads. Okay, John's asking me about 4 on the floor. Now, 4 on the floor is when every beat in a 4/4, hence 4, is playing a kick drum. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, kick, 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 kick. 1, 2, 3, 4, kick, 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 kick. So why are we talking about that as being a groove that drummers play? Maybe not always, but pretty much most of the time, a little hesitantly, because they have to get the kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare. The kick's playing the whole time, but the snare is hitting. So it's you understand what I mean? That relationship between that snare playing on the 2 and the 4 over that solid kick can be a little intimidating to even some of the best drummers, because all you have to do is get that snare slightly too far in front or too far behind and it sounds like poop. It sounds really bad. You can, when you've got nothing like a kick drum underneath, nothing, when you don't have a kick drum, supporting underneath a snare, it doesn't matter if the snare's a nanosecond late or early. Nobody has a reference point. They don't hear a flam. So what I tend to find is what we had here. The drummer is playing a little softer on the snare than he should. And that's just, it is what it is. And, you know, you can spend your time trying to get him play harder, or you can fix it afterwards, or you can do both. It all comes down to how much time do you have? What is the best way to get a performance? And so, anyway, so let's move on. What's the settings on my stream mic? I'm just using an RVox and a little bit of L2, barely anything, nothing. Okay, so let's not worry too much about things outside of the mixing tips here. All right, so what have I got going on my overheads? Let's have a look. I actually have an L1, which as you can see is barely doing anything. And I used the link control. The link control here, if you see, the link control, see what I'm doing? Comes down and basically doesn't increase the volume because it brings down the output here in relation, the output ceiling you'll see in relation to the threshold. So even if I get more aggressive, see the volume stays the same. It's a really nice feature. It's dumb and it works for me. Let me do it again for you. And you know what I'll do? I'll turn off my mic so you can hear it. You'll hear me move this link control up and down and the volume will not change. I think, you know, there's automatic gains, there's all kinds of stuff that you can get on wonderful compressors and limiters and stuff, but that one works really, really well. It's really straightforward and works great. I really like the way it does it. So you can see how useful that is. You just link the two and no change in volume. It means that you can put an L1 or an L2, something on your bus or your instrument individually, and get more limiting out of it, like bring up the energy like I did here. See what happened where I didn't use the link? See how the volume went up dramatically? But if I do the same thing with the link on, same thing with the link on, and it keeps the volume exactly the same. Nice touch. It seems to work better than an automatic gain control I've seen on many compressors. Anyway, so it's not doing much. I'm using it for an occasional peak. I think if we went to here, you'll see it work on this section here. See it there? Did you hear what happened? It just controlled that transient just a little bit. And what I liked by it controlling that transient is it brought out a little bit of that out of that tom, because I want a natural thing on it. So getting back to the overheads for me are very, very important. Now, when you're doing a huge drum kit, like a massive rock drum kit, maybe with 2 kick drums, with 14 tom, I don't know, I'm joking, but a massive drum kit in a big room, sometimes rock guys will just individually mic cymbals. They'll do 3 or 4 cymbal mics, and they'll spot mic the cymbals, or they'll have them on the outside of the kit, so they're picking up just a wash of cymbals. Now you might say, why are they doing that? Well, they're doing it because they have so many things to create a sonic palette. They can sit there, they can pan their toms around, they can place their cymbals individually in the mix. But the reason why I care about overheads being in phase is because I'm in a small room. Now you might go, what do you mean, Warren? Well, I mean I've got a single kick mic, 2 snare mics, 1 hi-hat mic, 2 tom mics, and 2 overheads. I've only got 7 mics on my drum kit, and the only thing that's giving me an accurate version of my drums is my overheads. So that's the reality. So I always care about phase relationship with my overheads, even when I'm in a big room, but I understand why not everybody does it. So look, if we do this, if I zoom in, look at that. Pretty darn good. I mean, nothing's ever perfect, but you can see all the way up to about here, the phase is perfect on that snare. It's measured evenly to the snare. And that's on a small kit because suddenly now I have a stereo image of my drum kit. So it's really important to me. That's the only thing I have. Okay, so let's do a competition to win this exact course. And the competition is really, I just need to know. Yeah, we can talk about that in a second about what I'll do with overheads and stuff. Okay, so I need to know a little bit more about you. So Tuesday's live stream, we talked about DAWs, about microphones that you use. Now, it's a double whammy. What is your favorite plugins that you use? So what plugins do you use? And if you mainly use stock, you can just say stock Avid, stock Logic, stock Studio One, stock Reaper, whatever it is. I want to know a little bit more about you. What are your favorite plugins? Let me know. High pass filter. Yes. So what are your favorite plugins? And while you're telling me what the favorite plugins you use are, I am going to keep going on these overheads. So what do I do here? I did a little bit of 10K boost. Stock Logic, somebody's saying here. A little 400. And this is to win. This course for free. And this course is me mixing it and also Bob Horn. So it's going to be really, really fantastic. So Waves, UAD, Sonox, Waves, UAD, Rough Rider, Stock Logic, Waves, Stock Reaper, Waves Platinum, Echo Boy, Antelope, Sheps, Omni-Channel, Waves. Oh, Klanghammer MJUC, we love that. Antelope, Transient Designer, Waves, more UAD, SSL Channel, T-Rax, Slate, Waves, SSL, Multiband Compressor, Waves, Sheps, more Waves, Fruity Limiter, Stock Reaper, Spitfire Audio stuff, Guitar Rig, Overlord, Slate, Waves, see a Fab Filter, more Slate, more UAD, more Slate, anything Melder, another Fab Filter, more Waves, more SSL, T-Rax, API, Band EQ, MJUC, Brainworks, Slate, the Waves Gold Bundle, great. So I got some 10K to open it up on the top here. I've got some 400, some low mid cut, and a little bit of 200 cut. So not a huge amount, but then I am compressing it with the 2500, which, as you know, is actually, and I don't want to get into a fight with Paul Wolf about this, not that we get into a fight, because Paul is a genius and I am not. Paul knows far more about gear than any other human being I've ever met. But I like this 2500 compressor more than I like the hardware. I use it more often. So let's listen to it on and off. So if anything, it definitely is compressing and actually making it slightly roomier, which doesn't bother me. Why doesn't it bother me? Because I don't have any room mics. I don't have any room mics. I'm also sending, as you can see, to bus 5 and 6. And if we scroll down here, let's see what we got going on. Yeah, you get it. A fake room. Somebody asked a few minutes ago, is like reverb on the room? Is there any reverb on the overheads? And I said, I'll get to that. Well, here it is. So as you can see, I exaggerated it there for effect so you could hear what it was doing. But ultimately, I'm just using a little bit of it. I have other reverbs going on. But yes, I am sending some of the overheads to a reverb. The reason why I'm doing that is I want a little bit of space around the kit. And I can get crazier on it. I can certainly. Like if we put all the drums in together. Let's put the drums in with our synth kick. And I'm going to crank that fake room. Cool. So you can see what it's doing there. It's really quite dramatic. So that fake room really helps us, give some stereo imagery on a very, very small drum kit. I mean, it is one rack, one floor, kick, snare, and 2 overheads. Obviously, in a hi-hat mic as well. But it's really, really simple. There's no, that's the point. Yes, people are saying great things like it's punchy. It's very simplistic. I'm not doing a lot of work. Now, it's just simple recording techniques. So as you can see, I'm not doing a huge amount of compression, not doing a huge amount of EQ, but I am recording it fairly well, and simplistically. It's fairly even. You can see here, the drummer, like we were saying, is a little uneven on some of his snare hits. His kick it's a little hesitant. You can see here. Look, he's pretty quiet in this second chorus because he's concentrating on his 4 on the floor. That things are happening, but I'm not getting as crazy with it as you would think. There are things you can do. So what else did we do? Let's go down here. We've got a drum sub and we've got the snare verb. So let's check these 2 things out. So here's my drum sub. So all the drums, with the exception of the fake room and the synth kick, are going into here. So this is, what do we have going on here? We've got the dialogue processor getting rid of a little bit of aggression in the high mids. It's not really doing much. Off. On. It's controlling a little bit of that snare slap. And let's see what it feels like in the mix. I'll give you the thumbs up and the when it's on and the finger down when it's off. So let's be serious. It's not doing a huge amount. But next up is the MV2. I'm going to take this on and off in the mix. This is all in the mix, so you can see how it feels. I mean, I'm sure you can hear that. That is a massive difference, even in the mix. I mean, you can tell what the MV2 is doing. You know I talk about this plugin a lot. And I'm not ashamed to say, because lots of people make really, really great plugins. But the MV2 is an absolutely fantastic, really, 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 really good plugin. So what is it doing? Let's have a listen to it with, these are the elements that are going through. So here's the elements, just the drums. So why do I love this? I'm going to be really dumb and explain it like a dumb person because I'm not an expert, and there's going to be lots of people going, you know, he doesn't, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? I'm just going to tell you about how it sounds. And this is what it sounds like. With these two dumb controls here, the low level and the high level control, for an idiot like me who only uses his ears and is not one of these guys that spouts numbers, because I'm not an expert. I came into this as a musician, and I just work 12 or 15 hours a day making music. I don't know a lot of the science. I mean, I do know some, don't get me wrong. I've built pieces of equipment, but I'm not a crazy genius like somebody like Paul Wolf or something like that. But this is what it's doing for me. You see, you got this low level control over here and then the high level control up there. And when I bring those two together, I bring the energy of the low level stuff and I bring the high level stuff and squash it down. So I'm compressing one and pushing up the energy underneath. Now, it's not a parallel compressor, but it's doing something very close. It's gluing it together, somebody just said. It's adding energy underneath, and it's controlling the transients over the top. And it's done with two knobs. That's what she said. Hey! But look how dumb and simple it is. Let's listen to it again. I love it. I mean, particularly on bass, it's one of my favorite things, but absolutely wonderful. I'm experienced, yes. I can say I'm experienced. I do know that. But I just have to use my ears. So that, and then over the top, I've got an L2 taking off the most extreme transients. So let's see what that's doing. That's really dramatic too. Having said that, remember that's coming from the MV2. So it's exaggerating what that's doing. It's just controlling those transients. It's a wonderful combination of plugins, which you're going to see if you get access to the real mixes a lot of guys are doing. You'll see these kind of combinations all of the time. So the MV2 and the L2, both great plugins. Okay, so let's keep going. The only thing we missed out on this drum sound, let's have a look, is hat and toms. So let's quickly talk about those while we're here. So I'm going to bring these up so we can see them. Okay, so you'll see that the toms are also going through the reverb. See how dumb it is, what I've got going on here? Another thing, and I don't, it really depends on the track, but because we're using a kick and a snare sample and that dance groove in the chorus, you'll notice I have no problem with those toms being as live as they are. I mean, go here. we'll listen again with the mic turned off. So pretty natural, with a little bit of reverb going in there, and it's just with a little bit of reverb being added on this fake room here. And I call that a fake room. If you go to my reverb here, you'll see that it's 0.65 of a second. It's not a big room, but I am just giving myself like a little drum room. I'm not doing that much. It's pretty crazy. I know that there's this sort of belief that there's tons and tons of things going, and I do read this a lot because I know that there's a lot of views on YouTube and money to be made with tons and tons of like massive techniques and all this kind of stuff. But ultimately, so somebody's saying here, a pretty good drummer, recorded well, mixed simply, is going to sound a lot more massive and getting in there and doing tons and tons of stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. There's been plenty of times I have to do a lot of aggressive mixing to get something to sound really, really fantastic. But a lot of the times it's very simplistic like this. And especially if I've got like a kick or snare sample that I'm using, these two elements, I might just want to like have those be driving. And if you've picked the right sounds, it's not going to be a big problem. Okay, so let's go to the hi-hat. The only thing I have on here is an REQ, just an EQ. So I just have an REQ, and the only thing it's doing is, yeah, you guessed it, I'm just high-passing some low rumble I don't need in there. And what's instantly you can hear, yeah, and that's what Paul's saying, yeah, too many plugins and it can sound a lot worse. Yeah, I mean, I've watched people EQ things so massively, incredibly, and then try and build the energy back up afterwards. High passing is going to be a bigger thing, and cutting out low mids on drum mics and stuff like that, as you can see that we did quite a bit of that on things, is going to do you a lot more good than, 15 levels of parallel. Get those, try to stand back from the drums and listen to them and see what they need, as opposed to just launching in there with tons and tons of EQ and compression. Okay. Let's do another giveaway. So the giveaway is for this actual course, and you're going to see me mix this song, and you're also going to see Bob Horn mix this song. You can get the course as well if you want to buy it. There's a link to that as well. But let's talk about it. We've talked about what DAWs, we've talked about your microphones, we recently just did what is your favorite plugins. We also obviously wanted to know what DAWs you were using and interfaces the other day. I'd like to know more about our community here, and I'm thinking if this is as simple as this, if you only had one piece of equipment, and it could be a musical instrument or anything, if you only had, I use an SM7 on the hi-hats, an SM7. And sometimes I use a 57. If you only had one piece of anything, musical equipment, whether an acoustic, for me it's an acoustic guitar. It's a Yamaha acoustic that I've had for 20 plus years, 30 plus years. That would be the only thing that I would really care about, as far as equipment, if the studio was burning down. For you, what is that one piece of equipment that you could not live without, that you own, not one that you wish for, something you actually own? It could be a laptop. Could be I've had people say hard drives. What is that one piece of equipment? And this, and thank you, I appreciate it. I'm glad it validates it. So that is why that is a very, very important, just, what's the one thing? And this is to win the Bob Horn and Warren Huart mixing of this exact song. So cardboard tube, boom, my Strat acoustic guitar, MacBook, Les Paul Gold Top, MIDI keys, Les Paul acoustic guitars, 78p bass, Tom Anderson, ukulele, Godin. Oh, Brian May replica. Oh, Jason. I'm not choosing this, Matt is. But everything says Anne. Speakers, DT99s. Nice answer, Jordan. My ears, but I'm assuming they're not in your studio. Or if they are in the studio, it's because you're in there too. Classical guitar, Taylor acoustic, Strat, Tannoys, djembe. I love my djembe. 65 nylon guitar. My brain, guitar, D35. My triangle, nice. MIDI keys, iPad, PV Predator EXP2, Mac computer, Collins, computer Telecaster with a G-bender, speakers, ears, everything. Brazil, Yamaha drum kit, mic stands. So it's great to see there's a lot of musicians here. A lot of musicians. That's absolutely fantastic to see, because I do agree that is a big deal. You know, because I'm a musician that ended up, you know, producing, engineering, mixing, but I started off as a musician. David, who commented, yes, a Martin HD28. Thank you, Matt. That makes life so much easier than us asking to have them tell us what they said. HD28. Well, that's a nice thing. You're very blessed. Fat bottom girls. Yes, Queen. LL6, nice. Headphones, PRS. Cowbell joke. Oh, if you haven't already, please like and share. If you can like and share. So let's talk about some bass guitar, shall we? Well, in this particular instance, there is no bass guitar, is there? So let's not talk about the bass guitar, because what I did on this, and this is why this course is going to be interesting for you, anybody that either wins it or buys it, is I use this. So it's vacuum, and it's vacuum. It came with Pro Tools, and it's pretty fantastic. I mean, it's not a Moog, but it might as well be for what I need it for. It's great. Yeah, I mean, so many of my songs, those of you who follow me, have me playing bass on it, but this one I didn't. I played electric on it. I got two DI'd acoustics, actually, sorry, electrics. These electrics are barely touched at all, EQ or compression. Listen to this. That plugin is the Air Vacuum. Yes, Tim, and this one is only a synth bass. I didn't play live bass on this. I played electric guitars and the synth bass. So the electric guitars, and this is what's going to be interesting for you if you get this course, are just played, just performed. I EQ'd and compressed on the way in. Everything is the way I wanted to hear it. So, here's the guitars. So yeah, apparently Vacuum Pro is $1 right now. Wow, there you go. So, I mean, that's the bass sound on this song. So, you know. It's funny you should mention Jesse's Girl. I won't, I can't let the cat out of the bag on that one. There's a whole other, that was interesting you should mention that. So look, there's not a lot going on there. I mean, the rest of it is a lot of vocal stuff which we can talk about. But there's some fun things. There's some fun things in the sound department, in the sound design department. Have a listen to this. And again. Now those were done in Logic. So what we had was we had a laptop set up and used Logic for some of that. Now some of these you're going to get, well firstly if you're an Academy member you have access to all of these things. Here's the reverse. So those are like little swells into choruses and stuff. Let's just get my mic here. Turn. This is one of Lily's songs. This is the song I wrote with her called Shoot You Down. So anyway, so yeah, you can see the swell and then the crash afterwards. Let's put in the electrics with the bass line. So it's pretty natural. I mean, obviously we can add in this riser, which we got from Logic here. But I'm not doing tons and tons of EQ and compression on these things because I recorded them and chose the sounds that I wanted. You see what I'm saying? It's like, why would I? Yeah, $1. Isn't that amazing for vacuum? Did not know that. And Tim Morris's Focal cans arrived. Fantastic. Congratulations, Tim. So, yeah, it's ear candy. Let's listen to it again with my mic off. I'll put the drums in. So you see what I'm talking about there. Now, it's quite simple. I mean, it's just ear candy stuff, as somebody was saying. The swells going in, really, really help, like add some of the kind of, I really like this explosion here. That's basically a kick drum, and that's a kick drum and a cymbal crash. Listen to it again. You can tell I added a whole ton of reverb on it as well. But it's a great effect. One more time in the track. Now, obviously, in the track, you're not hearing it like specifically. You're not like, oh, wow, what's that explosion? That kick drum plus, cymbal hit that Warren's doing there. You don't hear it like that. But remember, all of these sounds are available if you get the course or if you win it in a minute. And also in the Academy, I believe these have been used. I used these on quite a few different songs. So if you're like a yearly member, you're going to get access to about 30 multi-tracks. And if you happen to be a lifetime member, you're going to get access to absolutely everything we've ever done or will do. And the thing is like all of these are available. You can use them, slow them down, speed them up, or do all of that kind of stuff, Okay, so let's move on. The guitars, we talked about that. Really, the next big thing is the vocals. Let's do one more giveaway. We still have like yeah, I don't have that problem with the MV2. I suppose it depends on what your signal is going there. If you've got really bad signal to noise ratio sovereignty, if you've got that, then you'll get a lot of buildup of hiss. I don't personally have that issue, but I know that that might be another issue. Okay, so Dum-de-dum-dum-dum. Here's the lead vocal. So just check it out. I'm going to listen to it in solo for you.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my hands are full. You've got a right to love, but this isn't right by me. I can feel you hiding.
Okay, so what are you noticing about that? If I turn off everything on it, you're going to hear something really obvious. I'm going to turn everything off. I'll leave the effects on, but I'm just for the heck of it. I mean, we could turn those off as well. But it's not so much about that. Have a listen to this vocal.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my hands are full. You've got a right to love, but this isn't right by me. I can feel you hiding.
I mean, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? It's not just a volume thing as in, oh, it's louder because you put those plugins on. Yeah, of course it's louder because I put the plugins on. It's not that. It's just like she's really, really dynamic. We did this a couple of years ago. I think she's only about 22 now. I think she was either 19 or 20 when she did it. Yes, the vocal is quiet on purpose. It was to make a point, John. So the point that I was making is that without all of the compressors and stuff on, you can't hear. She's like, you got about that feeling. I mean, she's really, really dynamic. She was young. Exactly. As Gregory is saying, the levels are all over the place. Now, when you're recording younger or more inexperienced singers, you're going to get these kind of issues. You're going to get issues when they're like belting and like you're on the verge of clipping everything, and then you're going to have moments where you can barely hear them singing whatsoever. It happens to me all the time. And there are many, many tricks that you can do. If you're in a beautiful studio or you happen to own a lot of really, really nice equipment. Somebody just bought a Yamaha Pacifica. Shame on me. Yeah, well, there's one just sitting here. Look. Dun, dun, dun. Been playing it last night and this morning. So, like I was saying, if you're in a really, really nice, expensive studio, you can get away with all kinds of shenanigans. So what would those tricks be? Let's just say you do happen to have a lot of really nice gear. I'll give you the nice gear version of what I've done many, many times. I did this with Steven Tyler. I did this with Isaac Slade from The Fray. I did this with Dan Leyes of August Arna. I did this with Howie Day. I've done this with a lot of really good singers. These are all really good singers. This is very dramatic and a big, expensive way of doing it. So what you do is you take the beautiful large diaphragm mic, which could be a U47, a U48, a U67, something like this. So you've got this gorgeous, expensive mic, C12, 251. Okay, so you've got your nice, expensive mic on your famous guy. I'm telling you this as like the most extreme kind of way of doing things. What I then do is I go into my 1073 and I split to two different compression chains. One compression chain is always hitting on the slow stuff like this, so when they're singing really quietly, it's compressing and the output is turned up so it always prints a big loud signal. Now when they choose to go up in volume, that just gets annihilated and is barely audible. There is another compression chain which only, yes, you guessed it, picks up the loud stuff and starts to compress there. But when it's compressing there, it will allow you to like get that same output level. So the consequence is with this two series being printed and then summed back together, you get these big fat vocal tones that are always in your face. Whenever I've given them to mixers, especially really good mixers like Mark Endert, etc., I get Spike Stent mixed with that on Vedera. He did our singles. Mark did the Fray first album and done a lot of other stuff with me, and Daniel Powter, a whole bunch of people. When they're mixing those kind of vocals, they love it because the vocal is always up front. Now, for me, this was an LCT 940 on tube going into one 1073, a 160 and 1176. So all I could really do is set the compression for when she's belting so I didn't go into clip. So that's the long story. I didn't have 2 sets of compression chain, and also we were writing and recording the song as we went. This is what's important, is like, it's so often now, this is many of you I'm sure, are writing and recording as we go. You know, you're not, yes, Jason Mraz has awesome mic skills. So do a lot of these great singers I'm talking about. Yes, great singers. Steven Tyler was pretty darn good. When he'd be like, you go, "Way, come back here," and then he'd move up here, and then come back there, and he knew how to balance it. But he's been singing live for 40 or 50 years. This girl was 19. She hasn't been alive for 40 or 50 years, and she's probably been singing since she's like 11 or 12. And not in the studio. So, you know, that's where we have to remember this. You know what I mean? It's horses for courses. Not everybody's going to be the world's greatest singer. And when they were younger, well, they're great singers, but not have great mic technique. When they were younger, they had the same problems. I know Jack Douglas very well, and Steven Tyler didn't have the best mic technique when he was 25. He's learned that because he's got acquired knowledge. So, yeah, I use a mult in Apache Bay, Dave. So anyway, so what are we doing? Now that we've talked about it, what are we doing to combat that? We're doing serial compression, multiple amounts. And again, we've got the R-comp first here, Renaissance compressor.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my hands are full.
Okay, so it's giving us quite a lot, 3 to 6 dB, but the ratio's only on 2.13, so like 2 dB. So every time it goes basically it needs to go 2 dB over to hit any kind, to give us, basically every time it goes 2 dB over, it gives us 1 dB's worth of reduction. So if I go really aggressively on the ratio,
you've got your other one, the one that you go to.
It's pretty aggressive.
You've got your other one.
Go back to here. Let's go around about here.
You've got your other one.
I mean, essentially the great thing about the R-comp for me is it's really dumb. I've got the attack quite aggressive, the release set standard there. Now, the R-Vox is probably most of what we are hearing. It really is. Frankly, have a listen to this.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my hands are full. You've got a right to love, but this isn't right by me. I can feel you hiding.
Now, I'm sure you heard a massive audible difference. Now, this is a little bit of a dividing one. I love the Renaissance Vox. I love how dumb it is. I'm not using the gate on here because we weren't in a noisy environment, but I love it. And what I love about it is it's really, really brings out some of the low mids. On a girl vocal, that's huge for me. Listen to it again. This is going to be off and this is going to be on. I think you'll hear it anyway, and you can also see me hitting the bypass, but listen to what it's doing to the sound.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my hands are full. You've got a right to love, but this isn't right by me. I can feel you hiding. I can see.
Now, on your earbuds or your laptop speakers, you're probably not going to hear those differences that much, but they're pretty massive to me on my... I don't remember which blue model this is. I'm sorry I keep hitting the pop. I should need to pop screen up. I'm sorry about those P's. I've got a Lewitt mic here that we're using. We do practice what we preach, by the way. You'll notice that. If we use certain pieces of equipment, we do actually use them. I don't. I'm only recommend things I use. It's not fair for me to like take money from people and talk about things that I don't use. The reason why we talk about Blue is because we moved over to Blue recently from our old headphone manufacturers. We still use the bios every day, the 1990s. over there and phenomenal, but we did change our usual brand. We had some issues with them in product support, and so I felt like I can't fully recommend a different pair of headphones if they don't support them. So the reason why I recommend Blue is because they sound great, they're very comfortable, and they support their customers. The other company, we had 3 months of wrangling over them, and I had to go to the mother company in Germany and get them to get the American company to respond to me. That's how bad it was. Now, that wasn't Bayer. Biodynamic make amazing headphones. So I can talk about the DT 1990s, and I know that in the mix, Michael loves them too. Bayer make incredible headphones. So let's not confuse our German companies, because I love most German products that we use. Incredible. Tegeler, audio manufacturer, it's an incredible company. So there's some really good ones. Anyway, why do I separate the breath from the vocal and place them on a different track? No, but I can turn them down if I don't like them. With her and her vocal, I wanted all the angst out of it, because I think it sounds more passionate. I want the passion in the vocal. All right, so the Arvox, as you can tell, did a huge amount. All righty, so next up.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my hands are full. You've got a right to love, but this isn't right by me. I can feel you hiding. I can see through it now.
I mean, that's a pretty dynamic, insanely good, dialogue processor. I mean, it's basically a dynamic compressor. It's pretty insane what it's doing. This, you probably know, won a Tech Award. It's pretty incredible. So God bless you, Mac DSP. I mean, it's really doing a wonderful thing on the vocal. This is off.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my hands are full. You've got a right to love, but this isn't right by me. I can feel you hiding. I can see through it now. You think that I'm blind, I'm not blind.
It's subtle, but it's pretty special. I love what it's doing. It really does help that vocal sit evenly. Okay, so what have we got after that? We have another EQ, which frankly we're just using some high-end boost. The filter bank there, just a little bit of high-end over the top. Now all of that vocal is going into a lead vocal sub. Hey Matt, do we? How many giveaways did we do? I've been waffling on. Do we have still one more to go? Okay, I think we have one more giveaway to go, don't we? Answers on the postcard, please. I've been waffling on so much. Okay, so a trim here. This is going from this vocal into my lead vocal sub, as you can see here. So my lead vocal sub, first of all, there's a trim going into it.
You've got your other one.
But then I've got a de-esser over it.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my hands are full. You've got a right to love, but this isn't right by me. I can feel you hiding.
Cool, so there's a de-esser on it. You're seeing what it's doing?
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my hands are full. There's always something left behind.
No, you don't, because it's doing diddly damn squat. I had it on really, really aggressive. And I think what happened is after I took some of the EQ off, barely did anything. She didn't have that issue on her vocal, especially specifically this song. Easy for me to say. Okay, EQ, yes, you guessed it, some high passing. No, he doesn't high pass. But no, I watched a whole video that said don't high pass. No. Like every professional, we high pass. And I don't need low rumbles or air conditioning noise like you can hear at the moment. Hear that? That's gear. I've got like all this gear that's turned on over here. The computer fan a little bit. And with a bit of compression on it, you can hear that. So I took it off on her vocals. If I go to some, if you listen.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my...
It's subtle, but there's a little tiny hum. She sounds lispy. I'm not sure what you're listening on. Definitely not lispy here at all. Might be your speakers or something, Jacob, but definitely not lispy. All right, so next up is another R comp. You guessed it.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to.
Tiny amount of compression, 1 to 2 dB, and only on certain words. And yes, I did it. I know. I used an RVox.
You've got your other one.
So it's serial compression. You know, so let's have a quick listen.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my hands are full. You've got a right to love, but this isn't right by me. I can feel you hiding. I can see.
Cool, so somebody has asked me about de-essing. So yes, if I want to get super, super bright on this vocal, which to be honest, I might go a little brighter. There's a part of me that wants her vocal to be brighter. So what I'll do, and you're talking about it there, is I'll boost the high end, then de-ess, then boost the high end, and then de-ess. Like here, I feel like I could do this. I could add a little bit more high end here.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my hands are full.
So somebody's making it. Hi, Ignazi. So I do use saturation on vocals. There are other things that are going on. So yeah, I believe that is, you know, what's being touched on there is I will boost EQ and de-ess a lot. So I'll boost the high end, then I'll run a de-esser over it. But I'll always start with a de-esser early on, because the last thing I want to do is have I high pass and I like it. Don't high pass me by. Don't high pass me by. Don't make me blind. All right, so did Matt answer as far as like whether we did another one? One more to go. Okay, so quick revelation. Just talking about. So yes, I'll often do that. We'll do de-essing, then EQ boost, high boost, and another de-esser, because I want the overall air on the vocal, but I'm not. I'm not going to want it to be too aggressive, but I want it to be much airier, and it's just a way to go. I'm not the only person that does it. A lot of the people you admire, that's how they work. Okay, so let's do our last giveaway. If you haven't already, please like and share. I haven't looked on YouTube, even though it's all going in the background, as to like how we're doing on numbers and who's Ringo. 366 people watching. Yay, thank you ever so much. 230 likes. Can you please hit that like, and can you share it on Twitter or Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram or whatever it might be? That'd be absolutely amazing. So I think she's in time, but hey, to me it sounds like she's singing in time. But then, you know, get the course. And if you want a timer to be in a different beat, you can do that.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to when my hands are full. You've got a right to love, but this isn't right by me. I can feel you hiding. I can see.
Yeah, I suppose it's whether you're into feel or groove, or whether you want it to be. I want it to be. She's got a pop in my. Yeah, I think this is where we're moving into that massive discussion. Hey, Ralph, we're moving to that massive discussion about like what people like about modern music as opposed to other music, is they like stuff where it pushes and pulls the timing and it feels human. And then, of course, there's that sort of EDM thing where, you know, you take a vocal and you cut it to pieces and make it fall exactly, you know, exactly on a beat. However, yeah, it's all about groove versus, you know, exactly on the beat. But if you want it to be exactly on the beat, you can always chop it up and move it on. Yeah, I don't know if I would want it to be that way, to be honest. That's just me. But Also, you know, yeah, don't really know what else to say. It's not really my thing. At the moment, it feels like it's just sitting nicely on the groove and feels really, really good for me. But if you want it to be like more static, you can. But I mean, like even in eighth notes, I mean, what is it? I mean, it's pretty much on every single eighth note. I mean, wow. I mean, there is nothing wrong with that whole. All of that is exactly on through here.
You've got your other one, the one that you go to.
I mean, if you wanted to, you could nudge that back ever so slightly. I wouldn't bother. You know, I don't hear. See, can you imagine doing that to Stevie Wonder? But hey, stranger things have been done. All right. There is a synth bass that comes in on the first chorus out. Oh, right. So let's do our last but no means least giveaway. If you haven't already, please like and share. That would be absolutely spectacular. And we're going to do a last giveaway. So this course was originally done with me and Bob Horn. And so Bob mixed this as well. So you can see his approach and my approach. And I mixed it quite differently from here as well. There is no one way to do anything, as I'm sure you know. So, yeah, somebody wants to trap her. Yeah, do some trap. So, please like and share and let me know something. Okay, what? This is interesting. If you are not... Me, I like to do every genre, you know, and I've also been doing this a long time. So I'll go between rock, heavy rock, folk, you know, EDM, pop music, alternative, indie stuff, with or without keyboards, programming and stuff like that. But yeah, let's nudge Stevie Wonder's vocal round. Nudge is as good a wink to a blind bat. Anyway, so what about if we, let's do, I want to know what you do. What is, if you, and this is to win a copy of the mixing course, this particular song with Bob Horn and with me, both mixing the song. Let me see what do you prefer? What is the genre that you mainly work in? I'd like to know that. What is the genre that you mainly work in? Or more importantly, what's the genre you love working in? So what is the genre that you either love working in? And, you know, what is it? What do you like to do? What do you currently work in? I want to know a little bit more about who you are. We found out a lot about the equipment that you use, the DAWs, the interfaces, but what genre do you find yourself working in most? Mark says rock, classic rock, anything but gangster, Americana, alt country, nice, metal, funk and classical, indie rock, hybrid, reggae, rock, metal, queen rock, nice, alternative rock, hard rock, singer-songwriter, alt country, Americana, rock, alternative rock, pop rock, funk, classic blues, alt country, acoustic jazz, engineering, everything, production, rap and hip hop, modern country, Americana, hybrid, sorry, I'm all over the place, that's okay. Bossa, hip hop, rock, blues, melodic rock, ballad, EDM, jazz, my own stuff, rock, Americana, Brazilian, MP, Spanish rock, hip hop. The guitar plays so well with the vocals. Thank you, Michael. Do a lot of film score, great. Gospel, polka, rockabilly, fusion, electro fusion, rap, ska, rock blues, melodic, stoner rock, EDM, hip hop, pop rock, hard rock, grunge rock, Brazilian strings, classical, pop ballad, neoclassical, spacecore. Guy Dempsey, who commented, Guy Dempsey, congratulations, commented jazz. So I'm assuming, Guy, then you record in, rooms live with a lot of instruments, a lot of musicians. So we're nearing the end of our live stream. This has been absolutely amazing. If you haven't already, please like and share. If you can hit the like, there's 366 people there, and I saw like 288 likes. If we can get over 300, that'd be absolutely crazy. I really appreciate everybody coming here. I love being able to do this. We'll refine it as we go. This is definitely not absolutely perfect, but I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to like play songs, talk about what we're doing on each song, so that you can get an overview of all the different ways. Some of the songs I've done a ton of EQ and compression and gone crazy on. Other stuff is more simplistic. You can download these tracks. The course is available. Thank you, Tony. And you can really get stuck in on this. So thank you, everybody, for doing an amazing job and being incredibly helpful here. Thank you, Tisbonus. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Oh, thanks, Tony. It's going to get better. We're just working out the kinks. Nothing's nothing. Yes, we're always on at 10:30 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So come back again. So thank you ever so much. You all absolutely rock. Have a marvelous time recording and mixing. And I'll see you all again soon. If you haven't already, here's your comments. If you haven't already, please like and share. It's a really big deal just to promote this for us. You know, what we're doing here is very detailed and very boutique, you know, talking in this kind of detail. We don't do the flashy videos with hardly any information, but lots of really good graphics. We're trying to be a little bit more real because we're working in this every day. We work in the music industry. We're not professional tutors. We're showing you what it's like to make real music. We really want to help you grow as producers, engineers, mixers, musicians. This is really important to me. So please like and share. Have a marvelous time recording and mixing. Yeah, we could do an editing video. That would be great. All right, have a marvelous time recording and mixing, and I'll speak to you all again very soon. And please like and share. Thanks a lot.